Hello again and welcome to DanWhiteBooks, the book review channel where we add insight into the worlds of literature, both for those who do read and those who don't. Today we're back on the modern side of things with a book that was only released this very month. It's a sci-fi slash dystopian book by a popular author. This evening I review Klara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro. First of all, if you're wondering why the hat has made a sudden reappearance, you can blame Lockdown 3.0 in the UK. I had actually shaved my head about 3 months ago, but of course it grew back and now each morning it's like wrestling with a horse's mane. Anyhow, let's take a deeper look at this book, Klara and the Sun. The author of this book, Mr. Ishiguro, has actually won a Nobel Prize in Literature back in 2017, so it's safe to say we are dealing with an author who knows a thing or two about writing. Klara and the Sun tells the tale of an AF called Klara, AF standing for Artificial Friend, who is awakened to the world for the first time and put on sale in a store for artificial machines. The start of this book focuses solely on Klara's perception to the reality around her and on her experience as a sentient machine, observing like a hyper-intelligent toddler all the little nuances in life and, more importantly, the vast number of ways in which we as humans interact with one another. Author Ishiguro captures Klara's sense of curiosity, fear and wonder rather beautifully. In this opening section, you learn that AFs are powered by sunlight and require this light for her to function correctly. Indeed, a lot of Klara's initial fears are related to this issue. Now, I must admit at this point, or at the point I'd read that statement, I did feel I knew where the plot was going with this book. However, I was very wrong. It is true that the sun plays a very strong part in this work, as you may have been able to tell from the title, but it was never in the way I had expected. Klara is eventually picked by a younger girl called Josie, who suffers from an illness that can leave her bedridden for days. It's not made initially clear what this illness is, however, Klara notices immediately by the peculiar way in which Josie walks. Klara eventually settles into the family home with Josie and her mother, and later she meets Josie's best friend, a boy called Rick, who is oddly treated very differently to the kids around him. The world in which our characters live in is quite different to our own. It features some very questionable practices. You learn that Josie's best friend Rick is actually treated very differently to the kids around him, as he's not what the book describes as lifted. Lifted individuals are those who've been genetically altered to be superior to others. As such, if you are not lifted, you will struggle to find work or even an academic institution that will accept you for learning. In fact, it appears nigh on impossible to become a highly skilled worker, and Rick, who is not lifted, knows this too well. I must admit that this, again, much like even a Murakami book, is not entirely explained to you. You are given a view of this world in pieces and must figure out how those pieces come together. This is a world where marvels of technology exist, but not without consequence. It is later revealed that Josie is unwell only because her mother agreed for her to be genetically altered at birth. This is a decision that is quite normal in this world, although it does come with risk. It's a rather fascinating moral question when you consider that non-lifted individuals in this world are doomed to be second-rate against others. Would you yourself take a gamble on your child's future so they can be guaranteed success? It would be easy to answer if only the latter did not relegate them to failure, or at least to hardship. Klara really shines in this book, and you'll have to pardon the pun there. She's presented as a naive character who has the goal of helping Josie in her struggles and even wishes to cure her illness, although she has no solid idea about how to do that. She puts her faith in what she knows and devises a plan that is rather childlike in its logic, but nonetheless very touching. It reveals Klara's selfless want to help Josie, even if it costs her her own strength. This all set in the backdrop of a world that appears right, but also very wrong. The more time you spend in this book, the stranger it all becomes. It talks of technology interfering significantly with life to then offer more technology in the hope to fix the results of this interference. It's almost like technology is a substitute for the downfalls of, well, technology. and the cycle goes on. In Klara, you do see a machine, but you also see a person, and the less like a machine she is, the more human she appears. And that's interesting because it really does suggest that maybe being human and being yourself isn't all that much of a bad thing. Despite pursuing such technological advances in aiding human life, the best of these is simply one that is flawed, at least in its comprehension of select events. Klara's plan is not intelligent, but her action and her desire to help is everything of the word right and more. Towards the end of the book, minor characters are explored, but only to a limited degree. New people are introduced, like Josie's father and Rick's mother, but limited time is spent with them, despite them becoming more important to the narrative. They come and go, one after the other, and it is a bit dissatisfying. The most intriguing parts of their interactions are with Klara and Josie alone. It's a bit of a disappointment that this book wasn't longer, because I felt more time could have been allocated and plenty more tales could have been told to explore this world in greater detail and in some of the characters you've only just met. Klara and the Sun goes to show that a touch of humanity is not so much a bad thing. We can get obsessed with technology and how it can appear to make us intelligent and more adept at all manner of things in life, but I feel we get lost in a bubble and often forget what it is to simply be. This book offers a world more reliant on technology than their own, but in a different way, to the point where people are severely disadvantaged in the future should they not prescribe to it. It's a subtle nod to our own future and a reminder that you as an individual can do great things, and with every imperfection in tow, because we all have them, and that's not so much a bad thing. So with all things considered, I would rate this book an 85 out of 100, and I would certainly recommend you pick it up. It does science fiction well and doesn't drown you with obsessive descriptive detail or mass amounts of overwhelming information. It's an easy read with important points to be made, and has certainly persuaded me to read more by this author. I feel I'm a bit late to the party, if I'm honest. I know there are many credible works that he has released. My friends, thank you very much for watching again. Very close to 100 subscribers now. Hopefully we'll hit that by the end of the week. I thank you so much for your support, and I will see you here again soon for another book review and some discussion. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.